Hello, everyone, and welcome to EVTN News. As you can see, I'm trying this on StreamYard today, but anyway, okay. What do you think? I think I'll show this for a while. That'll be good. All right, and the benefit of showing this video or broadcasting the video on StreamYard is that I get to link to different websites potentially that I might want to show you, but we'll get to that. All right, let's get started on the news. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this, but there were more inappropriate texts from Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, who's also known as Kissy. More of these texts were discovered, and you can actually view you can read the segments at a link in the video description. It's pretty disgusting, so I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about that, other than the idea that Francis named him as prefect of the DDF. Yeah, this guy's in charge of doctrine, and Leo hasn't removed him. So until he does, what does that say? And oh yeah, if you notice the hat and the fluffy hoodie, yeah, it's cold. If you live in really the north of the United States, probably northeast, but not even northeast, Midwest as well, it's cold. It's really cold. And I shoveled snow yesterday. That was an experience. You just kind of wonder how people lived, before we have all these different energy sources, gas heat, electric heat, and you just kind of wonder how people survived. I'm sure the winters were very difficult. So wood burners for sure, but you'd have to chop a lot of wood. That would, I'm fine doing that in nice weather, but in the cold weather, man, would that be difficult. Okay. I guess it depends. You can put on a lot of layers. Anyway, moving on. So in Spain, radio host Federico Jimenez Los Santos finally said aloud what many whisper. On November 20th, he accused parts of the hierarchy of cowardice and corruption, then added, "Some bishops have boyfriends involved in all kinds of trouble. I am referring to Cobo, the Bishop of Madrid." This is actually a cardinal. He produced no proof, no photos, no documents, just what everyone in Catholic media has heard privately, that certain prelates lead double lives. Now, until you can, find a tweet that says "nighty night baby" or evidence, like even asking him, then it's all just speculation. That's the hard part about anyone who makes a claim that says, "Oh yeah, Cardinal so and so is LMNOP." Well, until that happens, or until there's any evidence, and that, how do you what constitutes evidence, right? Is it a tweet that says "nighty night baby"? I mean, I don't know. Okay. And speaking of Kissy, some Protestant scholars who spoke with Catholic News Agency welcomed a Vatican document that clarified titles for the Blessed Virgin Mary that discouraged the use of co-redemptrix and put limits on the use of mediatrix. Catholic News Agency spoke with three Protestant scholars, all of whom welcomed the Vatican's doctrinal note on titles for Mary. Two Lutherans and one Presbyterian gushed about how ecumenical the document was. Unsurprisingly, the document inspired none of them to consider converting to the true faith. So, and that's a summary for a lot of this ecumenism. Okay, we can talk to people of other religions. No one said you couldn't. I mean, I'm sure Catholics talked to lots of non-Catholics prior to Vatican II, but they also didn't pretend that all religions are equal. So that's a real problem. Okay, and I'm just going to get this set up because, oh, there we go. Because now I am going to be able to share a story here. Okay, so let's see what I can do. So what I'm going to do, this will probably be a breakout segment as well. As soon as I figure out how to share my screen. There it is. Okay. All right. Where are we at? Okay. I'm just going to go back to here for now and get the EVTN news off of here. So this story, I'm gonna start here. So this story is from LifeSite News, and I actually have a few links to basically confirm what I'm saying. LifeSite News recently released an article which discussed the situation with John Henry Weston. So as you know the story, he was removed by the board of directors, but there was a technicality in which they proceeded incorrectly, and so that led him to being reinstated. And when he was reinstated, then they got rid of some of the board members, and basically a hostile takeover attempt. So they hired an independent private investigator. So an independent investigation into allegations made against John Henry Weston and into recent events at LifeSite News has now been concluded, and this is from an article on their website. The key results are as follows. John Henry Weston has been completely exonerated. He is innocent of all wrongdoing, and the charges made against him were wholly false. Misconduct carried out by bad actors, internal and external to LifeSite News, has been identified and exposed. Appropriate action is being taken in response. I got more on that in a second. So on July 16th, the very day John Henry Weston informed staff he was still CEO, so this was after he was supposedly removed, he sent out an email and informed staff he was still CEO. A confidential audio from the July 2nd meeting, hosted via a collaboration tool, I assume like Zoom or Skype or one of those, was leaked publicly without authorization from the board of directors. It spread across YouTube channels and Catholic media circles, containing false allegations of fraud, harassment, and dysfunction, and amplifying internal tensions into public harm. The YouTuber, former church militant employee Christine Harrington, they didn't name her, but I will name her, to whom the video was leaked, also made additional entirely false allegations against members of John Henry Weston's family, which had not even been made at the board meeting. The YouTuber has since apologized for these false statements, but her channel is interesting, to say the least. Not interesting in a good way, though. We have a suspect. It's potentially Robert Hoover, as you'll find out here in a second. For the leak, and we're developing a strategy to seek justice. The leak violated LifeSite News staff handbook on confidentiality and privacy laws in the state concerned. The state may, so I don't know if it was Canada, but I know they, well, I don't know. I think they have an office in Virginia. So, okay, moving on. the leaked board meeting referred to a staff survey, which it was claimed showed that 100% of respondents alleged that John Henry Weston had created a culture of fear. Only 12 members of the staff out of more than 60 had taken this survey, a 20% response rate. So it was a very misleading survey, and it appears it was intentionally so. And that's what led to the removal of John Henry Weston. One staff member was fired during this period as retaliation for speaking up and has since reestablished his working relationship with LifeSite News. I'm not sure who this is. As part of the private investigator's internal investigation, and this is in first person from the private investigator's report, I commissioned an independent human resource agency to conduct a new independent survey administered anonymously to all 49 current LifeSite News staff and contractors. 38 individuals responded, which is a high response rate of 77%. The findings are radically different than those reported during the July 2nd meeting, again, so it was a deliberate misrepresentation. In fact, the September engagement survey severely undermines the narrative that the entire organization was operating in an atmosphere of fear, corruption, and dysfunction. Following the removal of John Henry Weston, elements of LifeSite News data were taken hostage by bad actors. So this guy, and I can't say for certain who it is. Okay, listen to this though. This is really significant. A critical Microsoft 365 tenancy, including LifeSite News' email, devices, and historical records, was unilaterally transferred to a third-party vendor without board approval in a violation of its bylaws. Staff devices were rendered inactive and historical emails were withheld, effectively holding LifeSite News' intellectual property hostage. The IT team recovered access, but it disrupted workflows for more than 6 weeks. So a data breach, basically, which was carried out by an employee. Separately, an inventory at LifeSite News' Austin, Texas data cold site facility from December 18th, 2025 revealed untracked equipment and supplies. Everything from servers to storage units valued in the tens of thousands with unclear ownership trails. Unauthorized transfers to IT consultants were made by employees who were already removed from their duties, totaling $66,000 in prepayments without justification. In the month leading up to the planned coup against John Henry Weston and during the leadership transition period following Weston's initial departure and prior to his reinstatement, a series of actions were taken that did not align with organizational protocols. These included severance agreements that lacked proper authorization, attempted access to restricted financial platforms, and vendor payments that bypassed standard review. Importantly, these actions occurred despite board decisions on July 18th and 22nd that had placed certain individuals on administrative leave. The company has since taken corrective steps to reinforce oversight and ensure alignment with government standards. This doesn't say for sure, but I'm sure they also severed ties with those parties. Okay, a recent financial review covering January to August 2025 identified nearly $30,000 in expenses that lacked proper documentation or authorization. These included purchases that did not meet LifeSite News internal approval standards, such as personal items charged as business, unreturned equipment, and gifts exceeding policy thresholds. The results of the private investigator, the results of my investigation are clear. LifeSite News came under attack by bad actors. Their true motives and intentions are known to God. I will not speculate on them here. What is clear is that their actions cause serious financial and reputational damage to LifeSite News. Okay. All right, so I want to direct you to an article. How do I display this? Aha. Okay. Huh. I wonder why it's doing like the movie display. Is there a way to see if I can display now? Okay. Well, I'll just do the fun thing. Okay. All right. So this is Stephen Cox, who is an employee that was fired around the same time as John Henry Weston. He has since reestablished his relationship with LifeSite News, but I don't know if he was an employee. I don't know if he's an employee or just maybe like a contractor. But he wrote this article, and he has some interesting information in here. And actually, I just want to read from my notes here, and then I'll move on. Okay. LifeSite's board chairman Dominic Ismert has informed the company co-founder John Henry Weston that after seeking legal advice, he believes Weston's removal as CEO earlier this month was illegal. This was written on July 16th, so right around that same timeline. Okay, so Dominic Ismert said Weston said, the vote to remove me from the board of LifeSite News and from CEO was not carried out in accordance with the bylaws of our organization. Weston said in an email that he sent to all LifeSite staff and board members on that day, today, which is the day, which was July 16th, via a personal account after speaking with Ismert. He said, therefore, until such time as the board convenes to make a lawful determination on the matter, I remain both CEO and on the board of LifeSite News. Here's an interesting part. This email below was promptly removed from all staff inboxes by new co-CEO Robert Hoover, the guy in question, who sent employees a new email condemning the move while also defending Weston's removal. Hoover immediately implemented what some staffers are calling a tyrannical company-wide lockdown. The lockdown has instilled great fear, worry, and even anger. Hoover ominously warned the anxious staff members in his email that some individuals may temporarily lose access to Microsoft Teams and email. Another move implemented by Hoover, who previously worked at Microsoft and has no prior experience in Catholic media. Oh, update. Hoover previously worked for Church Militant, which is really important, is his crackdown on editors from publishing stories. All articles are now screened before publication, apparently by higher-ranking management officials. This had never been company practice prior to this week. So, let's see here. Okay. Oh, my mouse is going a little bit crazy. But when I click on this, update, I don't think it's going to show you this. It takes you to a link. No, it's not going to actually show you that. I don't know if I can share that or not. It takes you to a link on Twitter. Here it is. Okay. I didn't think I'd get it. Let me see if I can reshare this screen and get you this link. So I got to remove this. And okay. And then I'm going to try to just share this link because it's really helpful. And I don't think I can, I don't know if I can like cue this. So it does take a minute. Here we go. Here he is. He previously worked for Church Militant for several years before being hired at LifeSite News. And let's see. I just made things really difficult for myself. I actually, okay, let's see. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so I was messing with my settings and I messed this up. So, it sounds like there's legal action going on. And so LifeSite's not at liberty to comment any further on this, but I will. So this guy hijacked LifeSite News, essentially, a hostile takeover. He took over as CEO, led the removal of John Henry Weston, and based on the audio, he commissioned a survey from a random guy he brought in, this fake staff survey, which only 20% responded, and we're not even sure that they gave, we're not even sure that the responses are legitimate, based on, you know, based on what the based on what the responses were. We're not even sure if the results were reported accurately. And I'm going to close out of this now. But that was the attempted takedown. Now, he previously worked for Church Militant. So what can you draw from that? Let me come back here. Okay. So what conclusions can we draw from the fact that he worked at Church Militant in the past? Well, that's probably where he got the connection to Christine Harrington. He was probably the one that leaked the audio to her. I'm not saying that that's 100% the case, but if you make if you connect the dots, that's what it looks like. Now, what happened at Church Militant? Well, they failed. But why did they fail? It wasn't because people, I mean, in a sense, they're, I believe that their, what do you call it? Their donations and their following kind of started going downhill once Voris and Niles started, continuously attacking the SSPX. I mean, but it wasn't just the SSPX, it was basically everyone. And I think people just started getting sick of that. But that didn't ruin the company. The big thing that ruined Church Militant was a frivolous lawsuit not a frivolous lawsuit, a lawsuit by a priest who Church Militant attacked. But their finances were starting to, spiral downward. Now, this guy worked at Church Militant, and I can't trace anything there. But if this guy worked at Church Militant, and there were reports of financial mismanagement there, and then he started at LifeSite News, and it's the same thing. Who was he, and where's he going next? He worked for Microsoft. Does that raise any red flags? Why would a guy from Microsoft want to work for Catholic media with no prior experience, but then he works for multiple Catholic media entities? It's a very, very strange situation, but it shows that Catholic media can be targeted. And they are targeted. It's not just the infiltration of the priesthood. It's not the infiltration of the Catholic Church. It's the infiltration of Catholic media. And based on the way that, Deacon Keith and Bishop Strickland, based on the way that they reacted, Deacon Keith Fournier, He's a Novus Ordo conservative, and he didn't want to go the traditionalist route. Strickland looks kind of bad. I mean, with all this happening, he kind of bought it. And Deacon Keith was happy to move in that direction, move in a more Novus Ordo direction. I mean, it's one thing if the direction of their website is to, put more focus on pro-life stuff. That's fine. I mean, they can do that. They can go whatever direction they want. But it was very apparent once they kicked out John Henry Weston, which only lasted for a short time, that they were definitely going in a more what would you call it, like a modernist direction. And when John Henry Weston took over, it was just business as usual. When he took back over, it was business as usual, but not really, because now he's taken them in a direction that he wanted them to go, a more traditionalist direction. And I reference a lot of their stories on this YouTube channel whenever I do my EVTN news segment, and I'm glad that they're in that direction. I'm glad, and I have hope for the future that they'll continue their what I think is pretty good reporting, solid reporting. Okay, so that'll be it for the breakout segment. I'll post that as a breakout segment, and you'll see that. All right, let's get to the comments. It looks like, well, I'm glad that the Kansas City Royals fan is here. And actually, it's funny. I could have worn my Pittsburgh Pirates hat. It's the off season, and so the Pittsburgh Pirates are tied for first place. How about your Royals? Are they tied for first? Okay. What do we got? Getting back to some of the previous stories here. All right. Protestants in general, HR lady, they reject the idea that she was sinless. Oh, Our Lady. Okay. They reject the idea that she was sinless because they believe only God the Son can be sinless. They don't understand this. Yeah, and that's why this is just a real attempt to Protestantize Catholic theology. It doesn't work because they say, "Oh, that's great," and then do they convert? No, they don't. I actually had a Church Militant premium account at one time, but I think what they did was too far when they accused SSPX priests of something. Sometimes wonder how many of their stories were fact. Actually, here's something. They accused, and this is what I was saying earlier in the show, is that Church Militant accused Bishop George Lucas. I think that's what the creator of Star Wars, but it's not the same person. But anyway, of Omaha, Archbishop Lucas, they accused him of being active LMNOP, and no one else reported that. Church Militant broke that story, and then that was it, and it went away. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And that's the problem, is that when you report that information, you got to have some backup. And I don't think the SSPX are beyond, what do you call it? Beyond like scrutiny, I guess. Like if there's any, if there's any creepers in there, get them out. Just like any other organization. I mean, I don't say like I don't say that like a specific diocese is completely compromised just because they have some creepers, except Chicago. Which, by the way, there's a rumor. Those of you that stuck with it, those of you that stuck with this video here, there's a rumor going around right now that that Cardinal Dolan's going to be replaced by some guy that was ordained by Cardinal Bernardine, and he's from Chicago. Sound familiar? The Bernardine network is spreading like a virus. Okay. Deacon Keith cannot go the traditionalist route because he's married. Well, there's nothing that prohibits married deacons. You know, St. Peter was married, but he and his wife supposedly made a mutual agreement to live apart. So there's nothing prohibiting married men from being ordained. If you get what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what you say. There aren't any permanent deacons in the Latin Mass. Well, but there's nothing, and there's also nothing prohibiting men from staying in the diaconate and not getting ordained to the priesthood. I believe, was it St. Francis of Assisi who was a deacon? I don't know. everyone is tied for first. That's my point. That's my point. I'm sure you appreciate that. I mean, hey, it's been, you know, I've been a Pittsburgh sports fan for quite a while, and we used to have teams that were competitive, and yeah. Okay, that's the end of that. Well, I hope that you guys, I hope that you can understand what I was trying to say with the LifeSite News stuff. This is a big deal. This is someone who was infiltrating a media organization, trying to take it down, and apparently already succeeded with one. And I don't know, and I don't want to give him too much credit. Like, did he end Church Militant? Because I think, like, for me, I would have supported that initiative. I know there are lots of people out there who are saying, "Oh, LifeSite News, it's so inaccurate reporting," and I don't know. I don't understand. I don't really understand that claim. It doesn't really make too much sense to me, but that's just kind of what it is. So yeah, we'll see if this. We'll see if this Archbishop of New York appointment is good to go. There have been different names floating around. I guess I think there was one who's someone like someone kind of, what would I say, threw his name out there, but he was a completely different guy than this newest rumor. The newest rumor. So yeah, we'll see what we'll see what happens. My brother-in-law is a Steelers fan. Well, there you go. There you go. And the reason why there's lots of Steelers fans all over the country is because there's not a lot of jobs in Pittsburgh, so they all move across the country, and yeah, it's kind of sad when you see the different demographics of different regions, and there's not really, I don't know, there's not really a rhyme or reason to why people leave certain areas and move other places. I mean, I feel like, you can kind of, when people go where the jobs are at, obviously, but why are there growing areas and others that are declining? I don't know. It's and I have an economics degree. I guess I have to look into that a little bit more, but to me it seems strange that there are certain regions that are better for jobs, but then if you look at sort of like the climate, I think that certain regions would be more desirable to live in than others. But I don't know. I mean, do you want to sit inside? So I guess, do you want to sit inside wearing a hat and a fluffy hoodie in the winter? Or do you want to sit inside in the air conditioning in the summer? And it's not like I live in Siberia where it's minus 70 Fahrenheit in the winter sometimes. But also, you know, if you live in the desert, you're not going to be able to go outside in the summer. So you pick and choose what works best for you. I don't know, but you know, why did businesses decide to set up in certain areas? That's beyond me. Anyway, just business ramblings. You know, I say try to live near a Latin mass, but that, and again, that's not even possible for everyone. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been EVTN News. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.